Welcome to the sharing day. As you know, it's the final event of our learning lab, the third learning lab on future care. Before starting, I want to thank our students. First of all, our students. So thank you guys for your energy, passion, effort, and thank you to our mentors for inspiring them, and thank you to our partners, Valentina and Luis from Yuma, and then David from Mainz, and Claire from TSA, and last but not least, my team, with Carmen, Eva, and Daniela, and our tutors, young tutors, for Kels, Royd, Stella, Selad, and Shristi. This sharing day is devoted to the spreading the DC for the M results. The project aims to design, apply, and spread, obviously, human-centered educational model to empower DCA's digital creative abilities to strategically guide this digital transformation. The DC for the M model has the objective to train the learner students to become digital maturity enablers. So professionals that are able to manage and to drive strategically with an approach, social and ethical approach to the digital technologies. Digital maturity enablers can drive companies to reach digital maturity. To achieve digital maturity. We created a model, an educational model, divided in 3 sequential phases, with the process as the center of this model. As you can see, not a traditional design process, but is a design thinking process empowered by future process. To apply this process, as our student did in these days, we created a toolkit, an open toolkit, an open teaching model that is in Mirrorboard with some guidelines, tools, and activities. These activities is developed by a card, and there are some instructions, and some of them were used from our learning lab, during our learning lab. A set of tools help students follow the process. And then this educational model and toolkit will be available in an box that is online, is available online in our website. This educational model and toolkit were tested during 3 learning labs. The first was in Madeira, and then the second in Saint-Étienne, and now in Milan. Here we are. In Milan, we experimented topic. The main topic was future in care, so rethinking the care in the future of daily life. We decided to have a specific topic. One is food as medicine, mental and emotional care divided in adults and Gen Z, and then everywhere's care. In this learning lab, 45 students was involved and divided in 8 multidisciplinary and multicultural teams. Our mentors supported the students in exploring the topic, and they are involved for the food as medicine, food tech accelerator platform, and then for mental health care adult, MIDA, mental health care for young generation UNICEF, and everywhere care Medtronic. They support our students in envisioning the topic. And then the startups as SMEs help students in understanding the digital technology, the tech domains, and make the scenarios quite real, quite specific and realistic. And for artificial intelligence, robotics, YAPE, and wearable H-Cube, Federico, and data appearance Abacus with Laura and Maria, and human-machine interaction WeArt, additive manufacturing Additive Italia, and extended reality Matteo from Another Reality. For each day we planned some warm-up activities in order to stimulate creativity and enhance collaboration. So for each day they have to play something to have this warm-up activity. And then mentors gave an overview of the topics and brought their experience to offer helpful insight. And then startups and companies guided the students to understand the emerging technologies, but also their future developments. And then they also provide some suggestions and hints for the concept designed by each team. And then essential steps are the sharing moment, in which the teams exchange their insight about the topic and the concept according to their research. And obviously our role is as instructors and tutors are to facilitate the adoption of the process. Let's discover about the final results, and we have our teams that will present their job and their work. Team 4.
Hello everyone, we're Group 4 and our topic is food as medicine, and with Ricardo, Sue, Joanna, Maggie and Umaima, we're going to present our product which name is CAM. So while waiting for our technical problem to be solved, what is food for you? What does food represent for you? Sharing. Okay, sharing. Happy. Community. Okay. 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 Yes, could be. What else? Do you have any other ideas of food?
A necessity.
Yeah. Yes.
Creativity.
Creativity. Great. Yes. What else?
Choice.
Choice. Yes. Great. Yes. Yes. But also the nutrients, right? So we said it was health, nutrients, experience, community, sharing. So it's also a whole experience. It's not only the nutrients the way we used to know it. So for our team, for example, our favorite dishes are carbonara for Ricardo, duck with oranges for Maggie, tacos, Mexican tacos for me, for example, bolognese for Joanna, and sushi for Soon. So, how would you feel if your favorite dish too could be prepared at home? Like, for example, if you had a little chef at your house who would not only make the preparation of your favorite dish easier, but also possible at home. So let's take a look at this product, but first let's take a look at how we came up with it.
So with food as medicine as our macro theme, we went on the internet to look for the various trends. So we saw a lot of signals, such as lab-grown meat, artificial seeds, so a lot of patterns and ideas by different researchers or startups. So we decided to concentrate on two main trends: lab-grown food, with, for example, lab-grown meat, which is a bit trending nowadays, and with new habits, for example, eating food supplements in order to readjust our nutrients balance, or even the development of smart pantries, which are appearing more and more in order to help to reduce waste, the waste we reduce.
So we're trying to look into the origins of these trends. We found out that all lead to two major problems. The first one is loss of the traditional food in terms of manners, habits, and ingredients. Because our ancestors used to eat ingredients that was most adapted to their bodies in terms of quality too, the ingredients. A second major problem is the environmental issue. Due to the global warming and to the frequent climate crises, we can't really imagine a future where the organic food would be our only source because it's getting less and less secure. So here, for example, we have a page of a futuristic newspaper at 2040 where we try to rediscover how was the food in 2020. So since we are heading towards a future full of technology, we try to look into solutions in lab-grown food, not only to replace the traditional food, but to also keep the benefits of it and the experience of it. Okay, so we try to envision a few scenarios where the artificial food would be the new traditional one.
So our matrix scenario is more focused in the first axis, the maturity of technology, and in their polar opposite, the natural and biological food, organic food. While the second axis is more focused on the social equality and inequality, and the accessibility of food. After all the scenarios that we created, our focal point is the one which has high maturity of technology and social equality as our final one.
We picked the scenario called the utopia. So in this scenario, so the food with high nutrition is available to everyone, and everybody has access to food as a medical function. And the food that is used as a prevention method, and that of people is balanced among natural and artificial food.
We had then a final brainstorming phase in which we generated several ideas, and then we defined two main clusters. One was like try to define how free and lab-grown food can be used in the future, in which children will be the protagonists, or another alternative was try to investigate how the technology of 3D printed would be exploited in order to, for example, have a mental function and accessible for fashion. We thought about the first alternative was more interesting, and so we defined our final solution that is going to come, creative and artificial meal. Why do you think that becomes interesting before showing this? Because we intend lab-grown and 3D print food not only as a tool to recreate a final product, but only as a way to reconnect with tradition and the rediscovery of cooking experience in a future world that we imagine with this concept is lost. So this is our final solution. Is as I say, a 3D printer in which food is intended not in the natural way in which we intend nowadays, but as divided into its nutrients. There can be, for example, small balls or, for example, filaments that we need to put together to recreate the original food that we intend. And so we have two types of interface. An interface that is suitable for children, for recreational part, and it has two main functions. One, to rediscover the origins of food and all the ingredients that compose those type of food, for example, burger, and at the same time, the concept of gamification and the instruction. So like teaching those children of the future that doesn't know, for example, from which ingredients are made of, for example, like why meat is made up from a cow, in a world in which, for example, proteins are only based from insects.
So for the scenario, so because our target group is families that with children, so a family of children and the parents spending a Saturday afternoon learning about cooking and traditional food. So and then the parents introduce a new choice to children as our product of the game, a 3D printer for the food. And the printer is capable of printing various food ingredients into different kinds of shapes, but it still leaves some. It's kind of assistant cooking experience, but it still leaves some steps for the children and parents to complete. So they use the 3D printer to print the base layer of the dishes. As the printer is printing, the screen on the printer will introduce some knowledge of the raw materials to the children. And then the children and parents work together to complete the final step of cooking, such as seasoning the dishes, adding the final touches, and painting the dishes, plating the dishes. And the children learn about different traditional foods and cuisines and gain a deeper appreciation for cooking and knowledge of food production. And so, about the storyboard.
Okay, so we interact now with our prototype. So we imagine to be into a family, for example, scenario in which we have a children that want to understand, for example, what is an hamburger, why he has to understand what's an hamburger, because, for example, he doesn't know what's an hamburger because he understands food only as it values nutrients. For example, so he understands the recipes of the hamburger, and the machine suggesting that, for example, to make an hamburger, the first step is to recreate the slice, for example, of salad. So it displays the fact that, for example, a slide of salad is made out of vitamin and, for example, a bit of water and some fibers. And then it chooses the tip that perfectly for the creation of food. And so with the help of the parents, it interacts with the machine, like, for example, exploiting the 3D printer technology to recreate the shape of the final slice, and so having the ingredients again. And this can be exploited, for example, for the recreation of a 3D shape, or, for example, if you imagine an extruded part as pasta, for example, as a tool to extrude the component and then cut it. Or, for example, if you imagine the preparation of sweet, for example, using like a sacapoche to put the cream at the top of it. So, yes, this is our final solution.
For our product, we basically took the technology of the artificial lab-grown foods because our macro things is food and medicine, and we kind of think it from a more social and emotional perspective. So food as medicine, so the artificial food as the medicine for the maybe the family relationship, for their maybe emotional well-being improvement. So that's our the intent. So thank you.
I want to just highlight that they work just for 9 days. So it's a big effort because they do research, they create a concept and then a prototype and so on. And it's a big effort. Team 3.
So hello everyone, my name is Arthur, and with my teammates Chia, Alicia and Luce, we are going to present you our concept that we have been calling Hibiscus. So just to tease the scenario and the future that we have been imagining during these 9 days, let's say that in this future, the climate change has really damaged the agriculture, that the agricultural yields are not even what we are used to today. Also that individualism is rising in the way that we consume food. And, but also there have been some technological breakthrough that have been modifying our habits and customs towards food. This is not a future that we could have been named utopia, but this is one of the futures that may happen, and this is mostly a dogmatic and negative future, but still it is one that can happen. To describe the path and the steps that we took to arrive to that scenario, we have started by identifying some trends on the current food market. So some of them that are relevant are here. For example, we have found that the younger generations are now really disconnected from natural cycles of the food. That, for example, we are all used to have like tomatoes in winter, even though they are not its natural. I mean, you find only tomatoes in summer normally, but now we have it all the year. Also, the food delivery is skyrocketing these days, mostly in big cities. There have been also some demand from the customers to have like functional food. They now expect the food not just to be fuel, but also to improve their performances. People now want food to reduce fatigue, to increase brain capacity and memory and all this kind of stuff. But on the same time, there is a growing demand for transparency and traceability for all these products. And also the current progresses in technology, with, for example, food that you can create in laboratories, especially meat, that you don't have to kill any more animals, but you can grow it in laboratories. Then, with these trends, we try to clusterize them and to identify some micro genes, for example, individuality, that people want food that are designed for them, for their needs. That we have also these new experiences of personalized dining and all these kind of things. Also, for example, the rising awareness among the population, people are more and more aware and conscious of the damages of the food on the environment, but also on their personal health and well-being. After that, we identified some business cases that are already on the market. For example, some companies are trying like the food deliveries from a grocery shop in England. Also, we now have these places where you can go and eat whatever you want from deliveries. It allows people to like gather with friends that don't eat the same thing than you, or that have some intolerances or allergies. And also this new phenomena of cloud kitchens that are kitchens in which you cook, obviously, but these are no normal restaurants, but only places to cook and to have delivery.
Okay, so we defined that in 2035 we will change the dining experience itself, both at home and at the restaurants. And this will be based on superfood and artificial food in order to conduct a better lifestyle for us and for the planet. So we have created this kind of metrics to think about what kind of scenarios can happen in this kind of future. And we thought about what is really important while talking about this topic. One is the personalization. So thinking about the choices that we will have in the future, maybe we will have limited choices and partial restrictions on what we eat. This can be due to different factors on the food available on the market, but also on the, for example, the evolution of AI and machine learning that will give us maybe less choice. And on the other side, we have unlimited choices. So global access to food everywhere all the time, which is can be a future if people want to close their eyes over what's going on the planet. And then we have another axis that is the topic is the availability. So we can think about a shared dining experience and communal kitchens, or individualistic dining experience on the other side. From this matrix, we generated 4 scenarios. One is food as medicine and treat, so we have limited choices, and we are individualistic. We eat, for example, just meals, but we live in an individual way. Then we have one season, one location that is linked to limited choices and collectivism, and then your food, your place for individualism and unlimited choices, and so on. The one that we choose is linked to the limited choices, so limited food and individualism. So due to climate change, we don't have the concept of meal anymore. We don't have a concept of dining experience anymore, except the one that we have at the restaurant, which is a ritual. Food is processed into superfood because we want to perform better, and like we choose to have food which is good for us and for the planet, but we decide to have like less ingredients because less is better. So more energetic, low calories, memory booster, etc. We do not imagine supermarkets in this kind of future because we imagine that everybody will have the raw materials or the materials that they can have directly at home through robots with delivery. And then they are self-monitored. This can help also to have like choices that are personalized for the person. So the challenge that we identify with this scenario is how can we still keep the personalization in a world where we won't have choice anymore? And we designed this scenario in which we try to think about what will be the ritual experience outside the home. So if we all the time stay at home and we don't have possibility to experiment something different, what will take us to go out from home? There will be like this disconnection with natural cycles and food production, and also lack of pleasure of sharing fresh food and meals. If we imagine that we eat, for example, some cubes of some sort of meal that we cannot define what it is, and we can think that we can put like some flavors on this kind of meal, maybe the dining experience can be to go out to try this kind of meals and to try the new flavors and the new things to add to our diets. We imagine, as I said, like a government-regulated AI developed to precisely determine what we should eat according to the planet, but especially to ourselves. And because of machine learning, we will have a personalized diet that let us think that we cannot choose anymore.
So we imagine 3 different experiences. I'm going through the less expensive to the most expensive, that is the third one. So the first one is going to the restaurant, called the restaurant experience. It's something that you can do maybe 1 month or twice a month. You go there, you try some new food, and your data is uploaded. The second one is a trip to the field. It's more about knowledge, to reconnect with the nature, the food, how it goes, how it's grown, and everything like that. The third one is the cooking class. It's more an experience about sharing and relationship. So you go there with your friend to have a cooking class and to learn again how to cook, those food, because in this world people are not really cooking anymore and they don't really know how to cook. So we are going to show you how the daily life is going in this new world. So every morning you will receive your food thanks to a delivery robot, and it will give you your diet for the day. So you have nothing to do, and everything is already made for you and for yourself. So we can ask the question, why going to the restaurant? Why people need to go outside of their house and go to the restaurant if your personal diet is delivered right to your door? Why going outside? No. So once in a while, people will be able to go in this kind of places called restaurants, and the point is there you will try new food that is not in your diet, because something that we haven't said is that it's AI that on your data is choosing what you are going to eat. So if the AI predicts that you should eat that because it fits your needs, you will eat that. And at some point, if you want to change the flavor of your diet, you need to go in these kind of places to try new food and upload it. So when you go in these kind of places, you will be given accessories, devices at the entrance. You have two kinds. One you can put in your tongue, and the other one is for to put on your fingers. And this will allow you to try the new flavor and even to share this flavor with the people around the table. Because as this is a really individualistic meal, you cannot really give a part to your friends. But with those devices, you will be able to share the emotion and the feeling of the flavor. So this is an experience. Okay, this is an experience to share with your friend. You will have like lots of time. You can take your time, and it's to bring like cheerful thing in the individualistic place. So the food will look like this, and depending on the flavor, the color can change, but it's not really with the flavor. And so you will eat this kind of flavor, cubic food, and then you will say if you like it or not, and the data will be uploaded in the day to come. Your diet, the flavor of your diet will change.
This is a basic and simple system for this all kind of thing, just to show the information between among this kind of like sponsors. So with this kind of information, we just design a series of like sensors to update the data or information of the flavor of the food or something else. So these are our product. It's just divided into taste, monitor, and a track. The track is just a personalized. It could connect continuous information on what the users eat, and the monitor is just it exists in the restaurant to monitor the emotions of the clients while trying and tasting your food. And the other is the taste, which you can put it on your tongue. It allows to communicate to the other members of the table the taste and emotions associated with the food eaten. Okay, thank you.
So hello, we are Team 5, and today my teammates Léa, Sylvia, Etienne, and Marco, Jack that isn't here, will bring you to our future. So for the last 10 days, we put ourselves 12 years ahead, so in 2035, to better understand mental health for adults and emotional care in the future. And try to create a new device, but no spoiler, we are going to present it after seeing what this future will look like. So welcome to our 2035. You certainly already heard of the concept of digital nomads. So it's people that are not tied to offices. They work, live wherever they want, so that they can prioritize their social relationships, their goals, etc. Even though now it's trending and becoming more and more popular, in 2035 this will be the norm. So indeed, thanks to manual work robots and the advancements on automation, people won't have to be in factories anymore, and the robots will be doing the work, and people will only have to control them through digital twins. So logically, digital working will become the norm, allowing people to have a good work-life balance in their life. And in this fully digital world, technologies like AR, VR, and XR will certainly be needed and be very will prove their values. So as you can see, we are a little bit far from the stereotypical future you could imagine. Like people won't be having their VR headset 24/7. The way of working will be close to what we see now, but thanks to the technological advancements, there will be some changements. So like remote working that will be fully normal. But this new work routine certainly comes with some pros and some cons that we're going to see right now. So logically, remote working has multiple advantages, such as allowing people to have a good work-life balance, to be working in your comfort zone, like from home, or wherever you feel like being in home, and also avoiding commutes and the stress related to it. But this new work routine also has some issues, and we decided to focus on the one that seems the most important for us for mental health and emotional care, which is the lack of socialization. People won't be able to meet their colleagues. The so spontaneous and authentic coffee breaks and lunch where people can talk outside of work will clearly lack, creating some insecurities. So we can see now multiple issues on this fully digital work routine. The colleagues will feel is isolated because they can't exchange with each other, distanced from the other co-workers, and sometimes they also can feel disengaged with their work since they are not having the let's say chill side of socialization inside of work. And that's when our device comes to the image. So we want to present you today Aura for digital empathy.
So our proposal is about Aura. Is related to our vision is to provide digital worker in 2035 will have an enlarged degree of freedoms to control their balance between the working and personal lifestyle. And how we do it is that we think create bonding to our coworker is very important elements. So, but how exactly can we really get connect with the others? Is by sharing. Sharing what? Beyond our works, there is something more important. Is that personal belongs to you? Is our mentalities, our personalities. And it is also very important that to build a trustful working relationship and a healthy environment for in our scenarios. But this kind of scenarios should be connect with our five senses. So we do some research about nowadays how startups and the research are already. I propose some methodologies, and they even do some experience. So we think this kind of things is really possible to realize in the futures. And this sensory experience are very important for us to connect to the others. in the digital immersed world. Now, those of the humanities. So we are Aura teams, and we plan to bring our digital workers by sharing their mental emotion information in this virtual world, and to make those informal moments important again, happen again. And as a human, we receive 80% of the information through our sites. And by looking around the world, we know many things happens around us. But somehow in a digital working space, it's really hard to really receive this kind of information from the emotional perspective of the others, your coworkers. So we plan to design, there is a spectrum of the colors to represent human emotions. For example, there is excitement that you can actually express through the oral, but also you can detect it from your physiological signals from your wear device. So the touch point we think is just a normal wearable device, and also the VR Google or AR Google. And let's see how James will enjoy the aura in his digital working life.
Okay, so we imagined James, which is a 30 years old man, and he lives in Chicago, and he works from his house, and he works in an interior design company. So we're not artists, that's the best way to do. So we imagine that James wakes up and he's wearing the bracelet we introduced in our system, and he's connected to the skin of James, and thanks to the parameters that he gets from the skin and the heartbeat, he can sense all the emotions that he feels. So as you can see, James is really stressed and his heartbeat is really high. And then we imagine that he starts working for a lot of hours on his computer, and thanks to the glasses, that is our second object in our system, he can basically enter in a virtual meeting with his colleagues. And since the VR right now, we can't use it for more than half an hour because our brain gets tired and our eyes get tired. This is the perfect system to have a coffee break as much as real as possible. So thanks to this, all the colleagues, they can see each other's emotions and each other's feelings, so we can create a better team and a better environment based on empathy and sensitiveness.
Hello everyone, we are group 6. Today we're going to present you our idea for the future scenario based on the mental and emotional care for adult and worker. Our group member is Alicia, Hugo, Sue, Valentin, and me. So let's think about what is happening right now in 2023. We did some corridor scanning in different aspects in what is happening right now and what we are talking about our mental health. Basically, we start from 2020. After the COVID, we had the isolation, quarantine, we had the work stress. Then soon later, we introduced with visual work, remote work, And we found also more and more technology that is happening for wearables, such as the mental applications, such as the wearables watches that is improving your mental health. Also, we have also found the VR retreat for some meditation. On the other side, now people are taking more care about the environment, not just because they want to protect the Earth, but also they realize that the planet and the Earth can change our emotion effectively. So that's why we need to protect the whole environment rather than just ourselves. And more on the social side, we found people are actually talking about their own problems, not like before, just showing the happy moments. They're showing also their stress. For example, the woman is showing after the baby has born how she feels shame because not being able to be as a good mother. And people are hearing more about the others. They are talking about how you're feeling, how you're supposed to be like. With all these horizontal scanning and researches, we found a new word, not a new word, we found a very important word for our scenario is awareness. The increasing awareness of being in a mental health person, not just rather than me as myself, but also in a group as the entire society. So that's why we define our domain as one for all. So the idea is to use connected devices or whatever to help us build a bigger connection through our service and improve our daily life.
So once we've discovered all the strengths and we had our first idea, we tried to have the main vision that we would focus on, and we wanted to imagine a future where we would solve everyone's math problems with working together and collectively and finding solutions for everyone by working together. So in 10 years, we will all contribute to emotionally intelligent system. So we would all gather some information, that way we can help all the individuals. And also our mental health, it's going to be a collective matter, and everyone is going to strive to help the others that way. So in order to do that, we can imagine 4 scenarios, or we imagined 4 scenarios, 4 main ones. They are separated between tangible and intangible, human and living beings, and the 4 categories that are going to be explained afterwards are the emotional sphere, human relationship extensions, universal sense sharing, and superbrain.
So I'm going to talk about our first scenario. So it's in a human-centered world, and they are communicating with an intelligible way. So we can think about, for example, the metaverse, actually. I can take the example that everyone is sharing his own emotion in a virtual world, so everyone can also know the emotion of everyone else. Our second scenario is in an intangible way, but with living beings. So it's another connected world. You can share everything with animals, plants, and everyone else. So you can increase a lot the cultural conflicts and the anxiety. The third one is utopistic world, where we can talk to everyone in a tangible way and to also all living beings. So we can materialize the emotions, and everyone is building a collective consciousness for well-being. And the last one is the one which we have chosen. So you can share your feelings in a physical way, so for example by touching someone else. And you can also upload and download your emotion on the platform.
But let's imagine together the picture. So in 2033, there will be maybe this situation. Interaction between people will also change. In particular, also interaction in your job work. So maybe the interaction between your peers, but also with your superior, will change. That's why we made our personas. He is Fernando,
He came from New York and has a lot of interest in, but want to change job and need to change job and go abroad. But he has fears about isolation, so to not have contact with someone else. Let's see together what emotion Fernando and also action that he does. That's why we write that in the first stage, he just applied for a new job online and he feels insecure because of there was a lot of competition. And then he found out that he has been selected for this job, so he feels like enthusiastic. Then he moved outside, so he come in a new country and fear that he don't know no one, so maybe he can be isolated in this new country. And then he feels anxious because he has to do his first day on this job. And finally, he has to build a new contact with this, so he feels maybe not included in this group that is already. Okay, all of this action and emotion could also solved thanks to our well-awareness. What well-awareness is a smart man that can share the emotion and the feelings with other people. How it works in the first phase, first of all, you have to put the awareness on your mail, and then you have to handshake with other people, and thanks to a specific technology, you share your information, your data, and after the sharing emotions, these nails change form and color.
So now we're going to introduce a little sketch on how this device could be used in a similar situation. It is year 2033. Ever since company hierarchies have been removed and the co-sharing of workplaces have been the norm, many international networking events have started happening. Here we have Fernando, and he's trying to move to a new country in a different field of jobs.
Oh, you are. So you are energetic. I'm Fernando, and I'm an engineer in New York, and I'm looking for a designer job in Paris. And you? How are you?
Hi, I'm Hugo, and I'm a manager in France. And it's important that you tell me that because I have a friend that is looking for someone to give him a job.
Okay, so let's connect.
So what we saw here was that through the use of their nails and their nail colors, they matched with a person that had similar characteristics to them, and luckily they also had enough information to share and proceed together.
Oh, I see that you are playing a game, but I don't know what it is.
It's a poker, it's a solver. But if you want, we can talk about it later. But can I have your information to give it to my friend that is proposing a job for you?
Yeah, of course. It would be really nice if I can work with them.
Here, they not only shared contact information, but they also shared their feelings and their memories and formed the bond together.
It was really nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, what does the use of these wearable nails change? As you can see, here with the faded dots, usually a similar interaction without the nails could have gone a more negative way. Fernando could have felt less curious to go meet new people, to talk to them, and even maybe make new connections. But through the wearable nails, he was able to detect like-minded people, felt more powerful to approach them because he knew his likelihood of getting along with them. And through the connection, they shared their emotions and memories easier, and that made them bond together. So why do we use these nails? We as humans are social beings. We need to socialize. I don't know if many of you have played Sims in this room before, but when you don't socialize, you get a mad bunny, and let me tell you, it's a scary feeling. But in real life, we don't get mad bunnies. We get mental health issues. So We thought that socializing is one of the biggest parts of that mental health issues. Sometimes we feel lonely, sometimes we feel depressed and not understood. But if we knew a way to find the feelings of the others and also care for them if they were less energetic than us or maybe more lonely than us, we could be able to form bonds together and also help share the better feelings and improve those feelings together. So we'd like to thank you for listening to us.
Once upon a time, in the utopic world, there was a man named Joe. Unlike our world where people with diabetes have to constantly monitor their blood, their sugar, and take insulin injections, Joe lived a carefree life. He never had to worry about his diabetes because in this utopic world, there was a cure for every illness, each illness, including diabetes. Joe lived in a connected house that was specifically designed for him to make his life easier. It was equipped with the latest technology to avoiding to make tests to monitor and track his blood and sugar. So Joe lived the rest of his life with ease, never having to worry about his diabetes again. He continued to explore and enjoy all that his beautiful world had to offer, and was grateful every day he had. The house became more than just a technology tool, but a real source of hope and experience and the beginning of a new era. How to make this utopic world a reality? That's the challenge that we faced with our team during 10 days, with Jeremy, with Laura, with Bunny, and with Cindy, who is unfortunately sick today, so won't be with us, about the topic Everywhere's Care.
So our definition of everywhere care, we define is decentralized healthcare, and also the care is the accessibility. So what is decentralized healthcare? Because when talking about decentralized, we are thinking about bringing healthcare to everywhere, every communities, every places, not just limited in hospital or health center. And accessibility, we want to find the possibilities to provide access to everyone. So according to what we defined, we focus on the area of the home, or saying like self-care, because this is a place that humans spend most of the time in, and our target group is chronic disease group.
So I'm going to present you our oral scanning. So nowadays, humanity faces a lot of chronic diseases such as heart disease, cancer, stroke, and diabetes. You have to know that 6 in 10 adults in the US have a chronic disease, and 4 in 10 adults have 2 or more. We will focus in the next part on diabetes. So there are 4 graphs, and 2 of them show us that median diabetes rates depends among other on poverty and uninsured. During the COVID-19 pandemic, diabetes emerged as an underlying condition that increased the chance of severe illness. Nearly 4 in 10 adults who died from COVID-19 in the United States also had diabetes. And here in the zone Italy, COVID-19 related deaths was almost 3 times higher if patients had diabetes than if it didn't have. So we have personalized medicine and preventive care that are new trends in healthcare
that prioritizes patient-centered care. The goal is to provide individuals with automated and industrialized treatment plans. And then we have telemedicine that is already used today, and it's a growing trend in healthcare that allows patients to consult with healthcare providers from everywhere.
Yes, we assume that in 10 years we will accept artificial intelligence at home to take care of us and assist dealing with the diabetes. Therefore, the hospital staff can focus more on meaningful cases such as emergencies or repetitive work. So, in order to find the possible methods to diabetes, we find the scenarios, the four characteristics, the four uncertainties we found is whether it is supported by community or individual, or whether it is public or private. So the first scenario is we name it "You Reach Me," which means the healthcare team is always at your service. And the second scenario is "I Reach You." And the third is always here, and the fourth is always there. The always there means that you will always be held with the community, and you live in a bond with other people. And finally, we choose the third scenario, which is always here, because we want to find the possibilities from this scenario. We want to find the possibilities method from the technologies like digital twin and the data tracking and the dashboard.
To start out our ideating process, we were connected to HCube startup, and we created this graphic to compare our solutions to their solution through the years. So the first one in 10 years, the digital management healthcare solution focus on creating a tattoo with a chip that will monitor the patient's health. And the second one remote doctor that provides a specific doctor remotely to each patient. The third one is a shared dog robot that will help with mobility, with low mobility. We realized that the actual methods to take care of diabetes are intrusive, and they also use a lot of needles, and it hurts every day. So our solution is to have an automatic injection, where you only see the tattoo on your forearm, and the rest happens inside your skin. Then we started sketching and prototyping, and our idea is to have a tattoo on your forearm. And under the skin, you will have a processor, storage, a network connection, and hologram technology to see with a screen our data. Between the tattoo and this chip, there will be a container with insulin, and it will be administered when the patient needs. So we did these prototypes, and we took some pictures, but we have it here, and you can try it putting above your skin, maybe like this, and user will just see the tattoo, and the rest is under the skin.
Now we are focused on the technology. I will focus on more the experience and the user experience. To do that, we have targeted two persona. The first one is Joe. Joe basically is a bank officer who is in his 50s. He's married. He's not living with his children anymore. They are studying abroad, and he's having a very sedentary lifestyle. He's sitting all day long. He doesn't like to practice a lot, and he often eats out. He has now diabetes for 10 years. He doesn't really care about his health, which is an issue, and he doesn't consult the doctor often, so he can have diabetes attacks quite often. He was interested by the product, two products. He wanted to try out how it was working, and so we have designed some generally with Joe's stories. I'm not going to design to explain all the design, but only the target points. The first one is the second one when Joe is consulting a doctor who is examining his body, his vitals, and basically all his pathology to give him the adequate and the correct statute to his diabetes. Then Joe can go to work quite in a calm attitude, and when he comes back to home, you can see that the home is connected. In the storytelling that I presented at the beginning, we wanted to design a connected house, and so that's why Joe now is having connected devices surrounding him, like connected door, connected fridge, connected bed, connected mirror, or whatever. We will explain it afterwards, with another personal, Calandra. We want here to focus on the hologram part, which is basically here, to have all these data reports, which has been tracked during in real time by the sensors and by the AI, which is embedded in the technology. Here, Joe is having a diabetic attack, so the insulin is not enough to counter this diabetic attack because there is a too big drop of glucose in his blood, and so we need to contact the 911 rescue team to come in help, and thanks to real-time collection of data, the rescue team can have the adequate information to take care of the patient appropriately. And also it can be tracked during his sleep to see about the heart rate, the glucose in the blood, etc., etc. And the final person now we will complete on this one is Calandra. Basically, she's younger than Joe. She's 30, she's working remotely for a big marketing company as a freelance. And she loves to travel because she has to work and she loves to travel. It's a mood. And she wants also to have a connected house. That's why she bought the solution, because she thinks that having a connected environment is the key to be prevented from diabetes attacks. So here, the first connected device I wanted to highlight is the fridge. Basically, the fridge is empty now for Calandra, but she doesn't have time to make groceries. Thanks to the AI in the fridge and in the tattoo, can design a personalized list of the groceries in order to have the food at home directly, not to go to groceries, and to be in good shape and good health for the future. Here, Calandra is working a lot, so she is always seated, she doesn't move a lot, and the tattoo can sense it like the smartwatch that we have today, but in a more intelligent way, which means that thanks to the blood and the collection of data, it can adapt personalized exercises to keep up with her shape. Calandra likes to go away also because she has business trips with her clients, so she wants perhaps to go to China, and to go to China she has to adapt a lifestyle concerning food, concerning habits, daily habits, concerning the sport in general, and so we can also adapt some tips about how she has to kind of behave and to be in the country to keep her shape good and to avoid diabetes attack. And finally, Calandra can consult sometimes, thanks to a connected mirror in the bathroom, some data and some medical data reports about her. Thank you.
Just one question on the refilling. It's not very clear for me the refilling process of the insulin.
The refilling basically is still the manual part. We haven't found a solution to do automatically, but thanks to the micro pump for the insulin bottle, it will avoid to go once a week to refill the insulin bottle, and will adapt the quantity, the perfect quantity of insulin that your blood needs in order to counterattack diabetes attacks. But each 6 months you will have to go to the doctor, and I think it's a good thing also to have contact with human beings to do a global check about your health, basically. So that's the manual part that is still in the process.
Team 7.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the future.
Hello,
Anthony, how do you feel today? I have detected that your heart rate is higher on 10% than usual. What about relax for 1 minute? Lay down on your bed, close your eyes, and relax, please. Meditation is finished. According to your health monitoring, I have booked a checkup for tomorrow. Your time slot at 10:30. The nearest checkup box located at Street McMahon 83. I really care about you, Anthony. When you reach the location, use face detector for entering to the Medi box. Then go toward the blue light. Stay relaxed and just raise your hands up from back and stay in that position for a few minutes. Then you can see all of your medical test results on a smart screen. The results would be sent to your personal doctor and also would be saved in your medical history. How else may I help you?
Well, it was just a quick recap of what Medibox is capable of. We are a team of 6 people, Hugo, Ricardo, Rufi, and Mocha, and Fontana, and Hannah. Here we're going to introduce the whole process of a Medibox. So, the micro theme that given to our team was everywhere is here. After the research, we interpreted this theme into these 3. Everywhere literally means everywhere, to reach to more geographical area. And also we understood everywhere could also mean to reach to everyone. And also at the last, not the least, we also understood that everywhere's care means to provide easy access to everyone on a regular basis.
So related to our macro theme, which is everywhere cares, and during these 10 days we were collecting some trends that helps us define our main domains. And those trends were smart working, which will be the standard of way of working, where companies will give up the huge room offices and employees will have more freedom choosing the place they live. And the second trend is the housing as a service, with the minimalism trend and nomad trends also. The traditional value of owning a house will be no longer a priority, but instead we will have temporary houses and shared ones. And also we'll have the decline in number of doctors and caregivers because of the financial difficulties in enrolling medical universities. So the domains that we came up with were sharing care on a family level, because family members will be more caregivers and they want to be shared with states and feelings with their relatives. And the other one is nature-based lifestyles, because with the ecological and social crises, like for example COVID-19 and lockdown, being connected to the nature can be health promoting. So our vision of the future is that in 10 years, nomad people will have full and equal access to medicine, regardless of their location, to monitor the physical and mental health, and to enable them prevent diseases because of the rise in smart working lifestyle, and also to decrease in
numbers of doctors.
So, by imagining this vision of the future, we had to imagine the problems we face and we will have to solve to make this future reachable. So, we had to ask ourselves, what will be the problem people will face in this future? Indeed, in our vision of the future, nomad people will not be neglected by medical services and will be able to have as easy and efficient access to medical services as any other people. So we had to answer the question, how can we provide equal care for nomad people? And to do this, we decided to divide the first question into 3 sub-questions. The first one is how to help these nomad people regardless of the location. And we talked about driverless car and drones. The second one was how to enable these people to ensure their good mental health. And so it was about metaverse and remote therapists. But we decided to focus on the third one, the most important for us, how to help these people keep full control of their physical health independently wherever they go. And to answer this question, we decided to make a more precise vision of our future.
So we narrowed down our vision of future into vision statement, which is in 10 years, nomad people's health condition will be able to be easily examined. 2, facilitate access to regular health checkups to allow early detection of diseases, as one of my colleagues also mentioned. Because of the rise in the smart working lifestyle, nomad people will be more responsible of knowing their health conditions, and also to respond the decline of the doctors and nurses and also the caregivers. The people will also needs to be more responsible knowing their status, and also the work done by humans needs to be replaced by other machines or the artificial intelligence. So those are the statements that we tackle through Medibox. And here we're going to introduce the details of Medibox.
So our proposal is a decentralized health checkup system. So it's a public container that could be fixed everywhere, in every location. So, like my colleague already said, the normal people are always increasing, and in these systems you can check your health every part of the world to make you more confident to move in a city or change a country. So this system is more focused on prevent problem, and if you have someone, he can suggest you how you can resolve, where to go, take appointment. Thanks Face ID automatically door. Of course, it's completely automatic, and you can take appointments by your device. This is just a shape inspiration what already exists.
We designed it as an interior part of the Medibox, mainly without any medical devices, just based on holographic technology. This holographic technology won't be used just for exact representation of human's anatomy, but also used for scanning and analyzing of every part of our body, from teeth and eyes to heart and brains. And it would, in less than few minutes, and it would be able to send the result to your personal doctors. Or also it could be, if faced unusual results, can suggest you some professional regional doctors based on your location. Medibox characterize annual checklists based on ages and genders, because people in different ages need different annual checks, and also in this case the hospitals would be free for more crucial problems instead of annual checkup lists.
So how does it work? Your personal AI assistant will book an appointment for the nearest checkup box, and then when you will enter the box by the face recognition, the box will show personalized data of the user knowing the health state. And then the box will do the full body scan and send all the data to the doctor. We have an integrated information system. What does it mean? All the sensor devices that you have at home, your AI assistant will know what's happening with you, will monitor, and then will make an appointment with the checkup box.
The medic boxes will be, of course, deployed in major cities around the world, but the aim is also to deploy them in remote locations as close to the forest and mountains to avoid medical deserts. Thank you for your attention. So before asking, if you have any questions, we have a question of our mentor. Does it exist?
Not yet. Not yet.
Thanks. Do you have any question? Okay.
Today, we bring you a story of technology and creativity in the classroom. Octavia, a 14-year-old in Mrs. Smith's class, recently participated in a project using Created, a classroom equipped with augmented reality tools, and used these to design a new version of the school with classes that are accessible to students with disabilities. With the help of this technology, the students were able to immerse into their design and see their ideas come to life in real time. This project not only highlighted Octavia's creativity, but also showed her the importance of teamwork, of problem-solving skills, and of giving back to the community. The final result was remarkable and sparked much excitement among students and teachers. We can wait to see what the future holds for Octavia and their classmates as they continue to make a positive impact on the world through their innovative ideas. With this said, we are now going to see how a class with Ms. Smith usually goes.
Okay, hello children, how are you? Welcome to our creative class. And today we will be using our augmented reality glasses. Okay, take it. And I want you to use this machine to to think about to build a very beautiful and comfortable house. And the materials and the shape is free. Now let's do it. Okay, hi children. Time is up, and how about you? And Octavia, how about what do you think about the buildings, your house? And
I'm making a house with a big veranda, and I love that I can use any kind of material and color palette. It's so interesting that I can feel.
It is very interesting and fantastic and new. And for you, what is your feeling about your house?
Me, I built a dome-shaped house to maximize the space, and I choose bright colors to give it a realistic setting.
Yes, very good and fantastic. And I noticed that you use a lot of bright colors. Why you use this color? Can you please try to represent your feelings and values?
To represent my feelings, I will choose the green color because of the satisfaction that I feel during the class.
Yeah, perfect. And do you have a drawing to share with us to express your feelings?
As a drawing, I think I will go for a star because of the joy that I felt while building this house.
That's fantastic. And Octavia, can you or would you want to express your feeling about you building the house?
Maybe I would draw a sun to show the light, how I felt while I was building it.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Octavia and Phil. I really like the way you use the colors and drawing to express your feeling. I think it's a beautiful way to highlight the creative and the reflection that goes into building this house. And congratulations, children. Thanks for your imaginations and the creatives. And I think you can remove your augmented reality glasses. And thank you for participating in our creative class. And see you next time. Bye.
Now I'm going to present you the team. So we are team 2. There is Thomas, Alice, Languier, Tatiana, and Theo. And the last but not least, our mascot, Octavia, Rigoberta Delato. So we are going to present the thought process that we follow to come up with this solution. Our macro theme being mental health and emotional care for Gen Z. Firstly, we analyzed all the current trends concerning the macro theme. Then we arrange them by minor trends to understand the links between all them and overlying problems and the advantages of each one. So, firstly, we explore the activism and the passivism of the Gen Z. Then we look at the trends of mobility, the tech-assisted social interaction, the digital customization, and the wellness priority. And in the end, we found that the most of the issues found were preceded in some way by problems in the traditional school system. We found that its weakness and its lack of dynamicity and the lack of dynamicity. In comparison to that, the newer generation is a great factor of stress. That's why we choose to continue our topic and work around this part, the education.
For the next stage, we have to envision some possible futures, thanks to the two axes that we found that were interesting for us. And the axes we chose were the individual mindset and the collaborative bonds. For the first one, the polarity is caring mindset versus a competitive mindset, which means putting one's emotional health as a priority versus putting one's productiveness as a priority. For the second one, the polarity is self-reliance or reliance on others. This means only counting on oneself to obtain our objectives versus counting on others to help. We choose to envision a solution situated on the competitive community quadrant, a future in which people will focus on their performance while having strong social bonds. This means there is a lot of sense of teamwork and people push each other forward. The AQ is more important than the IQ, or at least it's as valued.
So, as a product conception, in order to conceive a solution and establish it, that it will not be met by technology, we try to implement technology around the central thing, so it could work on the collaboration and communication. That's how we came up with Created, proposing a room with movable furniture and that schools could use in the breaks, creating a space that would unify social interaction between students and teachers. With the help of VR, we completed by adding an augmented reality that mixed it with haptic gloves that students could use to create things and elaborate anything they wanted. The final product is an ambient room that is accessible to students during breaks and to teachers that want to do activities and create and help students to understand everything on the classes. Could be arts, science, or anything else. And these are some movable elements to sit and lay down, something we could chat with friends, more comfortable and the positions we wanted. So we try to interact and create different spaces. So, in the end, teachers and students, in order to express how they felt during the lessons, besides talking, with drawings, using colors and even sounds, they could express themselves and help the teacher and the software that records the user data helps the teacher to understand what actually the student is feeling or help them to follow a path or a course that helps them with a better suited for them as students.
And finally, there's a lot of other assets that we can complete this concept with. We were thinking also about creating maybe networks between local schools or maybe twin schools that are really far apart geographically, so that students could in this mixed space where they actually are in this classroom, meet other students which will be present there virtually, but without having to close themselves into a virtual world. That's the interest of having an augmented reality, a mixed space for students to stay in the space they live in. We could also even go further down the road and try to design virtual twins of students or of teachers. This would be to help students and teachers further understand themselves to improve their performance. This could be a small part in a bigger shift of a new type of education. So as we said, it only attacks a specific problem. It isn't a solution for the whole lack and for the whole outdatedness of the educational system, but it could be a small part of it in the future. As a whole, this conception process helps us understand the importance of keeping human interactions at the core of healing in mental health situations. The fact that mental health is a transverse and multidimensional topic and that the potential of technology is only one of a tool and not that of an objective. Thank you.
Question which is not related to the course you've done, but I noticed many groups here are reading during the presentation, just staring at their phones. Is there a reason? Is something suggested, or because you have to script everything?
I think maybe it's because the presentations were made kind of fast, so we didn't have much time to actually learn it. So.
Okay, but it's not.
You are reading your text. You wrote your part, and you are reading.
Okay. That's.
Yeah, it's so strange. Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah.
Because their eyes are still good and they're small.
Yeah, because when I watch the lectures, I need a big screen. Yeah.
Maybe it's because we have bad memory because we use our cell phones too much.
Well, that's why it's not just it's taking away from the energy we put in the work. So that's why it's trying disconnected from what you do.
So good afternoon everyone. We are group number 1 and we got the macro topic of mental and emotional care for Gen Z. Even though we are working on Gen Z, we thought about it, and because in 10 years from now we will be early 30s, we thought of the younger generations that we will have in 10 years, not as specifically. So, more than a group, we are a team. Here we've got Enzo, Anane, Zio, myself, Anthony, and a big shout out to Ava, who couldn't be here, but who is in our hearts right now. So, first of all, what is mental health? So, this is a very broad topic, but in a nutshell, it is the combination of both the emotional, social, and psychological well-being of one individual or just the collective society. It can be affected by many factors, such for example, biological factors, or genes, life experiences, and of course, family history. Then, what is emotional health? Well, basically, it's our ability to cope with both positive emotions and negative ones. Therefore, it is a part of mental health. Then, of course, what is Gen Z? For context, those are the people born between the year of 1997 and 2010. They are the ones who are very used to having and being connected to each other. So, in the early stages of our project, we started collecting many trends, many signals, and also drivers, and tried to use a sleep analysis for this. As you can see, this was our app. And then we tried to cluster the ideas into interesting domains that could be used for our project, such as, for example, the accessibility of mental health services, the proactiveness of Gen Z towards causes that they want to address, such as climate change, for example, And of course, the way the companies are trying to make room for the new values that Gen Z is prioritizing, such as sustainability. Because we don't have the time to go into every single trend, we still try to select some important information so you can get a better understanding of what was going through our minds in the early stages. So for example, we knew that most of Gen Z, most people belonging to Gen Z, were and are facing some sort of bad mental health condition. And of course, when the COVID pandemic hit, all of these problems only got aggravated. We also know that on this note, men are much less likely to ask for help because they are seen as feminine. Because asking for help is still seen as feminine. So you will now get you some more important information.
And we can also see that when the budgets are tight, people tend to cut back on things like mental health because the free public service are still hard to have access. So at the same time, the government will spend a lot every year because more and more workers tend to be less productive. And on the tech side, we can also see that wearable AI markets are expected to grow much in the following years. And we can also see that the AI service that could help us to recognize everyone's emotion is improving year after year. So after discussing something, we imagine that in 2035 we will experience new ways of contributing to governmental policies to address the mental issues of the younger generations, because people will get seriously impacted by bad mental health condition. So we try to envision something about the future, and we imagine something like the government will get the data, the information about everyone's concern, and so that people can get help from the government. Maybe the government can just launch a law or regulation about something people will want to solve. And we can also, like tons of drugs, can help us to avoid mental issues. And also, maybe we can also think about something crazy. There is a lot of wearable device to help us remove our negative emotions.
So we had to choose a scenario for our future. So we picked two parameters. The first parameter is the restriction towards mental health, and the second one is the involvement of people in mental health. So it's to a matrix with 4 scenarios, and 2 axes represents the 2 parameters that we picked. So the first scenario is like communities that are really involved in mental health, and government is actually not. So there is like communities that are talking together about their mental health problems. They are finding solutions together, and it's very optimistic actually. The second scenario is the government is implied in the solutions, but not really. Actually, it's like it's bringing free drugs to people, and they are forgetting about their problems, and people is not involved in the mental health problems. There is a third scenario where the government is actually dictatorship, where it leads people and is giving orders, like you have to follow this path and not this path, and it's like a deny actually. So the first scenario and the last one, it is the one that we picked. It's a scenario where government is imposing some things, but people is involved in that, and it's not a dictatorship. So there is like mandatory feedbacks during appointments, and trends are taken into account. So let's watch a little video about our project. this little video. What is our project? So it's like a bracelet that you have on your wrist, and there's a lot of data in it, like your physical and emotional data, and you can see it with an amazing hologram that it brings you a lot of details, like tiny details. It's amazing. I tested it. It's false. And there is that you can share your data with your friends, with doctors, and the main feature is like there is a big tree in each city, and there is a leaf connected to each people, so that the data of people is connected to the leaf, and the leaf is changing towards depending on the person's mental health. So it's a little bit like that. So the green dot is my leaf, so I'm very happy now, and as you can see that everybody is happy, or you can see the community mental health. So three impacts thanks to this tree. First one is the motivation to have mental health tracking. Second one is that you know that you are not alone when it's bad days, and the community takes step in making mental health better. There's three types of trees. The first one is the biggest one, like in big cities and capitals. There is a lot of different leaves, and all governments have one big tree. There is a second type, it's like the medium ones. There is like hundreds of thousands of leaves. And the third one is more private, like you can buy it and put it in school, at job, at the office, hospitals, and even like in buildings. Like you can buy it, it's private. Very interesting.
So now let's explore the features of this solution from the point of view of the government. So these are specialists from employees of the government, and they can go through all the trees in the city via the VR, and they can see the situation of mental health in the communities, the neighborhoods, and the whole city, and they can start an investigation and investigating the causes of the bad mental health and try to find solutions and take actions. And talking about actions, our tree, the branches are lightened. When the government is taking action, the light is brighter and brighter, so the people know that the government is taking actions and doing things for them, and that they actually care about their mental health.
Do you have any suggestions for them? Or any comments and any questions? These guys, in 9 days, tried to envision in 10 years what could happen in 10 years in different technologies, in different fields. It's not so easy. It's not so easy. It's something that takes time to be explored with some skills. So they start to have these skills, and so try to use in their future job, these type of skills in order to strategically guide these changes. It's not so simple. It's not so simple to understand how to connect the trends that they found. It's quite to have a sensitivity to match some of these trends and so on. And so they are trying to do this kind of exercise, and then to create alternative future. I don't know if all the teams not for you, but in general, I feel that it's not the future that we want to follow. Because maybe show my emotion to all the people is not something that I want. And maybe we have taken care this part. But yeah, so we have to try to discuss. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for your amazing video. And to be alone.
My question was not a question, but connecting to what Marita just said. So, first of all of you participants, you did a great job. I was remain amazed on how somehow, especially in the last few days, the last few hours together, people that don't know each other come from different countries, different languages, different backgrounds, so bringing together designers with different kinds of engineers, different levels even of studies. We have a very, very young future digital maturity enabler and quite experienced people in this room. So, from my point of view as an educator, I remain always very surprised and happy even for you to how this process has anyway bring you to grow a little bit. So it has been hard, I believe so, but today we have seen some results, some that made us laugh, some made us think, some may put us in a condition even to question, these things come out from young people brain that imagine a certain future. While us, I am another generation and I have my perception and my way of seeing the future, and then we have other people with different age, different. So we are all a mix of generations. So the last two groups were focusing on Gen Z, Generation Z, that is not far from me because I teach to Generation Z, but somehow I find myself as an educator to make a kind of effort, and it's difficult for me as it's difficult for the students also, trying to step in their shoes and brain and try to understand how they see things and how they feel things, as well as they have to do with me, that I'm speaking in a certain way, I push them to draw, instead they want to talk and think and talk and think, right. So for my comment here is not a question, maybe it can be an open conversation to all the participants. Is this even the way we imagine this future, despite it's based on trends, and so it's about interpreting these signals, how even the interpretation can change according to who is actually behind that screen, that pieces of information, and is trying to map them and give sense to these. I give sense to these trends and signals in a different way than younger minds and that have an approach to life and an expectation of life that is completely different from mine. So this is, brought me to think, because at the beginning we started this learning lab with a sort of very quick exercise, like try to imagine yourself in 2030, 2040, 2050, 2065, and then all these young people stop in 2030 or 2040, and then no, anxiety, I'm scared, and so on. And I was like, I can kind of find myself in there. Yes, maybe I'm a bit broken, I'm a bit, I don't know, but I can. So the first day already, I was putting in the condition of realizing, becoming aware of this difference that is between us, educator, and then the learners that will be the future designers, the future creatives, and even us,
need to align in understanding each other and imagining together the future. So this is just a comment. I would like to know, maybe from the young people here in the room, if you have
She won't allow that I'm a boomer.
You're a boomer, and I'm a millennial.
52. Yeah. David?
Thank you. It's already instead that I really want to stress. I don't know about the future. I know nothing about the future of medicine or mental health. But as an educator, as a teacher, Marita mentioned that it was really for most of the participants. It was the very first contact, the very first time they had to use these toolbox, this set of methods of design futures. And the fact that even some of you there exploring this topic scenario shows the level of appropriation with this tool, which is really impressive. I have a friend of mine who's teaching in education science. He reminds always that the first teacher to complain about the level of student decreasing was Plato, and never stopped decreased if you listen to them. This is not what we observe here. Every time we raise the bar, and every time you follow. So congratulations.
This is an experiment in order to understand and to change our tools according to their experience. In each of the lab was very different. In Madeira, they create amazing scenarios without any concept. In Saint-Étienne, they created some interesting concept because we push for concept, and here we try to balance both creating scenarios and concept. And so we are trying to change the way in which the educators can take these tools. The objective is this, to use this in the classroom with different format. So. Andrea, do you want to add something?
As an external observer of the methodology, as a mentor or startup, we haven't seen the entire process, so we only can see the output and observing some of the steps with different groups. So what I saw, I think, is maybe in the toolbox it would be useful to add a methodology, also to explain how you go from one step of the process to the other. Because the phases of the process seems to be very solid. We saw a lot of observation, material, reasoning behind that. Then in the presentation, the links, and also on the talks, the links between one step and the other was missing in the explanation of how you move from the scenario to the outcome. So maybe just an area that you can improve is how to explain the link from one step to the other.
Yeah. This is a big problem for us because sometimes this is missing. So we are trying to understand how to create like a fil rouge, because it seems that sometimes they took students in general, not only general now, to the format and fill this format and then close this part. Find research, okay. Good. And then alternative future. It's a different part. It's not like this. We are trying to create something that help the this process to be smooth, because otherwise seems that there is no connection between the step and the steps. It's one of the main problems that we are facing now. Yeah, is we try to add some example, but it's not working well because it's just to copy this example. It's quite hard to create methods.
It's not to criticize, but
No,
just
no.
to give a meaning to the role of someone serving from inside. So
Absolutely. For us, it's, we ask also to the student to give us some feedback. They are concentrated.
I have nothing about writebacks because I feel like it's been interesting to see and to hear from students. We engaged a lot of people from outside, so we had mentors, we had startups, and it was interesting to see how the participants try to grasp as many feedbacks from you as possible. So they also tried to compromise, of course, because they had our feedback, your feedback from startups, then mentors. So they really tried hard during its very short time, 10 days. So they really tried to grasp as much as they could. And I think it was very valuable for them. I mean, this is based on my observations and some feedbacks I received. It was valuable for them to talk also with experts in different fields and from different also tech domains, we can say, because I think they learned a lot and they try to give it back in their projects. Of course, short time. It was like some sort of pressure test, but they managed. Yeah, we survived.
It was hard.
We survived. So we survived.
And Catherine, I want to add something. Oh, sorry.
I'm
so tired.
to be with the young guys. So you didn't because I was like a student, of course. I had, to repeat some years. No, I just want to say for the methodology, when we had the meeting with the teams that I had the opportunity to follow as a tutor, I was very impressed by the fact that we're talking about future, especially in a situation in which we are saying that make prediction for us as manager is becoming very, very complex. So I think the exercise per se in this uncertainty is very complicated, but I think there is another methodology that you are gathering that is trying to find the solution and the answer by putting people with different backgrounds together. So I think that the most powerful things that you have experimented is the diversity of contribution, the ability to have a discussion with people with different backgrounds, because in the company, in real company, having engineers talking with people that make design, with people that are from philosophy, is very complex, and sometimes we don't manage to have teams working like that. So I think this is really the powerful ability that you can discover in these working groups. And there was something else that really triggered my mind. There was you are designing things, trying to guess the future or to find the trends, but maybe by doing that you are creating that future. So I just leave you with these thoughts that by putting creativity and all of you together adapting to this uncertain future is the answer you are giving us.
How was this experience of working in a multidisciplinary team? I'm gonna go around. Catherine, come. She's laughing. How was your experience? No. Alessia, vai.
I think it was incredible. It was incredible to work with people from different cultures for sure, but also with different backgrounds. They are, I mean, three of us are engineers, and just two designers, but too far. So it's incredible to work together. Also because when I see a problem, another one of us just see a possible path to follow, so a solution. That's why I think it's
One moment.
contact.
Thank you so much for this experience, and big thanks for my team, because as you said, diversity is a real key of the team, since we're from different countries with different backgrounds, we're saying different things right now, and it was not only about the project that we did, that we presented today, but it also was about the sharing different experience about different life. We discussed a lot of things sitting on these tables all together, and not only about futurism, but like futuristic things. So yeah, and about the workshop itself, it was really great that you gave us the opportunity to work with mentors, with real professionals, because sometimes you think like future is something unrealistic things, and then you see people who are like, their eyes are shining about the future things, and they really believe in this thing that you think that it's some impossible things, but it's like they live with this, about this, I don't know. So thank you so much.
First of all, I would like to thank for the organization of this workshop. It was a great opportunity. I thank my team too. And I really liked how we are going out of this workshop with actually a lot of ideas, because the final project that we did is only, it comes shy to all the trends, all the different directions that we could come across at the beginning, like the diagram showed, like it expands and then it becomes all one individual thing. So I think that we actually come out of this workshop with a new lens to look at, with a new care to look at the new technology that we are facing. And that I think is a message to all the young people that we have a big responsibility in developing new technologies, knowing all the harm that they can make, and also knowing that maybe taking a step back and preferring not to develop certain technologies, to be more sober about it, to be more digitally mature about it, might be the best option. And I think that that's really the point that we should all take in our minds. And also another thing that I found really interesting is mixing engineers and designers. I think that is the key to creating innovation. Having the creativity, the open minds of a designer, with also the pragmatism and also creativity of an engineer. I think that that's a great mix that we should, designers as well as engineers, work a lot more on.
This for us is we win.
One thing that I also really enjoyed was the teamwork within ourselves, but another thing that stood out for me was the part the industry took place in this workshop. I feel like oftentimes in education we really stick to the textbooks and being what is being taught to us, but within this workshop we got mentorship, we got direction, we got feedback, and that was from actually people working in the industry and working on similar products to these, or had a insight to what could be the future bring to us. So that was a very valuable practical aspect of this workshop for me, that it taught us how to not just stick to the textbooks, and it taught us not to only stick to our minds and our ideas, but to receive that feedback and build on that feedback, because essentially that's what we're going to do in the future. And it was a very good, quick, but a very valuable insight for me on that.
Is there anyone that maybe on what was the hardest thing to do? What was the hardest bit? The hardest, I'm going to someone.
The hardest part sometimes was to develop like a common vision, like in the same future, because maybe sometimes we were thinking too far, and sometimes we were thinking like for the next future, like tomorrow. And to find like a good balance and like to find a balance also between teammates, it has been useful to talk a lot, and sometimes it was tiring also to keep talking all the time and brainstorm a lot. But it has been really useful to mature a common vision.
Anyone else?
There is nothing that we can do in order to create this common vision, maybe 12.
To think of it. Like at a certain point, we realized that some solutions were for the near future and some solutions were for another future. So we mapped like a road of what could have been the future tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, sort of. And so it has been useful just to say, okay, this technology maybe to tomorrow is like this, the day after tomorrow like that, and after tomorrow like that, and we want to position our scenario in this space. Because for example, we had the restaurants, and we were thinking, are we gonna use the sensors at home or in restaurants? And so we were thinking maybe like we will try pop-up stores, the sensors, then we use them in restaurants, then we use them at home, and then we want to go like to places to eat real food because at home we have sensors. So at a certain point we were a bit trying to figure out in which future we had to focus, and it's difficult to say what's in 10 years from now or 20 years. So we just have chosen a period, but we had to be aligned with that. So that was useful for us. I don't know.
There is a guy in the
Thank you. If I can just comment on that, we've seen that especially in multidisciplinary and international workshop. One thing, I don't know what we can do to help promote a common vision, but what we can do is to warn you that, of course, these kind of settings are really exciting and interesting, but there is a cost. And the cost is what you mentioned. The time spent to check that we're all talking about the same thing. We're using the same words, but are we talking about the same thing? It's the cost of this kind of regained diversity. So you need, when in your professional life, when you are doing projects in this kind of setting, you need to spare time to check that you are speaking on a regular basis, that you are talking about the same thing, and you share it.
Hello, good evening everyone. You probably have never met me. I'm nor a tutor or a mentor. I just developed my master thesis last year for this program, for the DC4DM, and focused on the pre-process on complexity, right? It was tough because I understand you very well while developing this project. because you have to face many different aspects of it. And also, to me, it looked like you moved very smooth throughout the process. Also, in the group, there was no big differences between the different figures that you had in your group. So to me, I did a great job. No, I'm kidding. You all did a great job. Professors, every one of you, the team. I know that they are developing a nice tool and pretty well-structured tool. And I can see it also from the results of your presentations. I don't know if every one of you have ever developed a project in just 1 week, but it seems that it went pretty well, since every one of you managed to focus on each part of the project, and develop also a realistic, in a way, future thinking, a realistic vision, both vision and product. So congratulations to every one of you, and nothing much else. I don't know what to say.
All the time.
All the time.
Well, so
I know that
I was an external one, so I live inside technology, so I saw a lot of you that have problems to know what is wrong in the world right now as technology. I mean, there is a lot of technology that you try to imagine as a future that are already there. Maybe they are terrible right now, but they are already there. Really, a lot of technology that you mentioned already exists today. So you can just go out, find a startup that is already working with them, try to create something together, and you can create it. So what I'm feeling is that probably it would be useful for the professor to teach a bit more about the technology right now. So you are more, for you it will be more easy to understand what will happen in the future, what you should aim. Because you know, augmented reality right now is terrible, but it's something that we are in 2-3 years. Haptic feedbacks, they are already there from years, a lot of years, and they will improve a lot in the next year. And so on for almost all your ideas. They are really cool ideas, so a couple of your teams will also create a startup probably. Well, I have a lot of questions from the business perspective, like who puts money in the thing, who's going to buy it, so, you know, probably the business plan will be a hard part to create, but probably, almost very sure, but that's something really. So I feel like you did a really great job. Also for the two teams, I tried to help just by throwing out a lot of information on the actual technology, and I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I'm terrible in technology because I love it, so every time somebody talks about something I love, I just start to say everything that I have in my mind. So you did all a really good job, and I hope next time you will have more instruments, more information to use to create something. And if you really did something like this in 10 days, probably when a company asks me for something innovative, I can just come here and do a work with you. Thank you guys, it was perfect.
I think this is a great suggestion for us, because we have just to show you we have just these 6 drivers, and for us we are thinking about these drivers, and maybe Tech for Sight will have could be a pillar, maybe like these 3: ethics and sustainability and Tech for Sight. Maybe could be a pillar and have to be I don't like power, stress, and example, because maybe you have to take these activities before to start work this because here you can take some
because we are moving towards a tech-oriented future.
Yeah,
so
maybe
technology maybe has to be spread out more. Also, it implies some ethics problems, as we were discussing, just children, as we were discussing during the workshop. Yeah, probably they have to be spread out more in their ethics.
The core.
Many people say a lot of things about these events. I just want to make an overview about the motivational aspect of these events, because as a startupper, alive in the world of startups since 5 years, we learn that inspiration comes from everything. Such a word, a speech with a person, a particular slide, a research on the internet can give us the inspiration. And actually, I think that these kind of events are a kind of source of inspiration, both for us that are startupper, but especially for you that are the team and that are the youngest person here that can actually start with a project. So I really hope to find some of your idea inside a startup, maybe fishing on a stage like us, defending your idea, working for your idea, because a startup is one of the only way that you can take your idea, your future idea, and put back in reality. So this is my consideration about these events.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, what Lea? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Alessia. Alicia. Okay. Joanna. Where is she? Sorry. Silvia. Grazie. Chi c'è? Mattia? Lucia? Rufina? Grazie. Metti. Sorry, for me it's out. Merci, merci. Anako. Anako. No, sorry, Anako. Anako. It's so strange. I love you. It's like thank you so much. Don't wait. See you. I remember it. See you. Thank you. Merci. Tatiana? Jeremy? Merci. Theo? Theo? Merci. Hugo? Grazie. Vedi? Thank you. Va. Su. Luce. Hunger. Thank you. Alice. For Ria. Ria. Laura. Thank you. Yaki Fan. Yaki Fan. She's not here. Another Hugo Valerie. Merci. Wait. Thank you so much. Umama?
Tutta la classe qua.
Sorry.